everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cosmos with Cosmos. I'm Liz.
I'm Mike.
And Brandon is living the high life in Hawaii on assignment. Hawaii? I'm sorry, I overpronunciated.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it was
you know,
Hawaii.
Right now. So you got just us, and but if you stick around or check it out later on YouTube, The Hangover, then if Brandon's still hanging out with us, you'll see his comments in Le Chat during Le Hangover. But for now, we have just a normal, regular episode for ya of High in the Sky for November. But of course, we're still getting drunk in the sky. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking what I am calling an FRB. You'll find out what that means, but for this particular thing, it means fuck you up real fast.
Hey!
But anyway, it's got cinnamon whiskey. It has peach schnapps, actually kind of heavy on the peach schnapps, and butterscotch schnapps.
It's a lot of sugary liqueurs in that one. That'll do you in.
But it's really good.
I am drinking a 12155 Hyginus. And that's a deep cut into this episode. Very deep cut into this episode. So stick around to find out what that is in reference to. But this drink is... bartender?
Cinnamon whiskey with peach tea.
Is it the peach cinnamon whiskey?
Yes, cinnamon whiskey.
I soaked peaches.
Which we're all out of now.
I soaked peaches in cinnamon whiskey for a day, and then drained the whiskey, and then put the peaches in, shook them up with a little cinnamon sugar. So we got some boozy peaches.
You want to try the whiskey sour?
Yeah.
It's very sour. It's very sour. So this actually has peach preserves in it. It has peach preserves with a little bit of water to water it down, but you do not taste the peach preserves at all.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that was going to be real sugary because of the preserves.
Yeah, but it has, in this particular case though, it's not a typical whiskey sour in that this has cinnamon whiskey in it and also lemon juice, obviously. But
it's actually
no egg white stuff.
It's really not that sour. The first sip is a little sour, but then it really just...
Yeah.
It's really nice, actually. It's nice on the palate. It has a good mouthfeel.
Yeah, I left the egg whites out because I was scared I was going to run out of time. But it turned out I had plenty of time.
Mom's got Earl Grey with lavender. Hot. Brandon's driving, so he's not drinking anything.
Well, he might be.
Wow.
But he shouldn't be telling us. Well, okay. He might be having water.
If he was drinking, it would apparently be called the Island Paradise.
The Island Paradise. But, I mean, it could be water. That's Island Paradise.
That's
too,
true.
So.
That's true.
Brandon, we gave you a drink name.
Yeah. Oh, you gave it to him. I thought he hopped in the notes and made himself a drink name.
No, I gave him the name.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Anyway, if you enjoy our shenanigans, please follow us on all the things at Twitter/X at Drinking Cosmos. Everywhere else, Cosmos with Cosmos. You can find us on wherever you get your podcasts, like Spotify, or look at our beautiful faces here on the YouTube.
Yours.
All of our beautiful faces.
Yours.
Everyone is beautiful. Okay. And if you want more things that are cool to check out Wildixia, Wildixia on Etsy. She's got some amazing artwork that she does up there as well. There's Ramon Proctor, MrProctorShow.com, and I still got to look up the link to his other one that he does. And of course, our good buddy
Mr.
Jack.
Proctor Socks or something like that.
Mr. Proctor, I don't know. And then our good buddy Jack's over the Rolling Bluffs Planetarium.com, who's doing spooky stories in the planetarium today, which is pretty fun, pretty cool. And I bet Jack gives a great planetarium show. I'd love to see his planetarium show.
Well, forever in the Council Bluff area.
We'll go see Jack's planetarium show.
But I don't know when we're going to Iowa.
Yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, you can also check out our little shots of astronomy science on YouTube and Spotify called The Shot Little bits for you, just little short, brief,
quick drinks,
quick downers of astronomy.
Shooters, yep.
Quick shooters. Shoot that astronomy down your gullet. Anyway, we have some drinking rules, of course. Just to spice things up, make things a little fun, make things very, college-like. If you hear a dog bark, take a drink. And if we make any nerdy Star Wars or Lord of the Rings reference, and I've already built, I think, a Star Wars reference into the notes here, take a drink for that as well. But in the meantime, are you ready to get high in the sky? I'm gonna do it every time. I say it with the same cadence, and I love it.
It's great. Yeah, but yes, I am.
Okay, you're ready? Okay, cool. Because this is for November. Well, of course, recording this and when this comes actually out is released, it'll still be October. So we're getting you ready for November because October is ending really fucking fast.
Yeah.
We're shortly upon Halloween, and we'll be into November and Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and then the year's over, and then we have to wait forever again for Halloween to come back. Anyway,
I'm looking forward to the new year though.
Yeah,
I got a nice trip.
You do have a nice trip coming.
So.
Anyway, in the meantime, for November, if you want to go outside at night and check out the sky, as long as it's nice and clear, and it's gonna get chilly, so wear a jacket.
It won't be here. It's 2 weeks of rain for us.
Oh boy, well. Up in the night sky, we've decided that, when we talk about the night sky, there's a lot of constellations up there, and, they're not changing. It's the same constellations that are going to be there for a few years now. The stars are moving, but they don't move fast enough for the constellations to look significantly different in our night sky.
We're seeing the same thing the Egyptians saw.
Yeah. So, things can get a little repetitive in when we're talking about the constellations that you can see up there, assuming everybody is watching every single episode. So what we've decided is just to do a little constellation highlight during High in the Sky and choose one or two constellations to talk about. And I have chosen one for November. And I thought this was a wait. Hold up.
I did not want to interrupt you, but apparently that is what happened.
Yes, I chose one constellation, and I realized that this was an interesting choice because it's kind of a dim constellation. It's not a very bright constellation, so it's not going to be necessarily the easiest to spot or make out. If you're in a very light polluted sky, a darker sky is going to do a little bit better. In fact, this constellation is the second dimmest of the zodiac constellations.
I bet Cancer's number one.
No, I think might be like Virgo. Virgo's pretty dim, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Actually, I didn't look up what the first dimmest.
Well, water constellations are just dim generally.
Yes, and we're in the water constellation time of year with Pisces, Aquarius, Virgo. I guess Virgo's also earthy, but I'm getting a little too close to some non-science stuff. But I have chosen the constellation of Pisces. Pisces, the fishes, two fish hanging out up there. They kind of look like it kind of looks like a pair of balloons, like if I or a child drew balloons, basically. Like imagine a child's drawing of like a kid holding two balloons. You have two lines that make the strings, and you get two kind of ovals that make the balloons.
That was going to be my drink name until I changed it, but it was going to be Liz Draws Balloons.
Yeah. So that's essentially what makes them out in our sky. That's the kind of the shape of them there. And this constellation of Pisces lies between Aquarius and Aries.
Two dim constellations.
As well. Oh, I guess Aries is the other water one.
Aries is Ram though.
Yes.
But doesn't he look like...
No, Capricornus is the sea goat.
Yeah, Capricorn is sea goat.
Yeah, so I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, the March equinox is located in Pisces. And there's actually only 2 stars that are brighter than a magnitude 4. So stars and the brightness of things in the night sky is on a scale of brightness that is called magnitude. The lower the number, the brighter you are, which is weird and fucks with your head because that's not how we count, right? So for example, Venus, which is the third
brightest object in the sky.
Sun,
moon, Venus.
It is magnitude of -4.56 at its brightest because its brightness changes as it goes through phases and shit. And the dimmest stars that you can see with your naked eye are at a 7.2 magnitude. So the 2 stars in there's 2 stars in Pisces that are brighter than a magnitude 4. So what that means in a nutshell, a dim constellation, if you have more light polluted skies, you can use the assistance of, Google Sky Maps or, some app that you can use your phone with to help you find what you're looking at, which we promoted, every time we do one of these shows. But even deeper in Pisces, located within the constellation that you definitely need assistance for your eyeballs to see are some deep space objects that are popular. There's M74, Messier Object 74, one of the cataloged objects by Charles Messier.
Who was a comet hunter.
And a Frenchman.
Oh, okay.
I assume because it's Messier.
I mean, yeah, you're probably not too far off. But Messier, he was a comet hunter, and I know I've said this, and he got tired of finding all these little fuzzy patches, and so he decided to catalog them so that he could avoid them and know that they're not comets, because comets look like little fuzzy things. And he's best known for his catalog and not for any comets he's ever discovered.
Oh, that's kind of sad for him. But also, he gets a whole fucking catalog of astronomical objects, so I don't feel too bad.
Yeah, and then, astronomy groups will do astronomy groups will have like Messier marathons when they go out and look for
and they just go and try to spot all the Messier objects that are
like
up
for the whole night, except for the ones that are right there at the sun.
Bunch of fucking nerds. Love it. I think it might be Jupiter, Mom, the bright one that you're seeing. I can't remember what planet. I should know this, but
well, it depends on when you're seeing it.
You've had some clouds. Yeah, it depends on when you're seeing it. I'll look into it and see which one you are. Brandon says Charles Messier's notes are a little messy. But anyway, this Messier 74, M74, it is a loose spiral galaxy. It's loose. It's not tightly bound spiral arms. It's kind of loosish out there. It's 30 million light years away. And then you have NGC 520. This is the new general catalog, so a different catalog of objects. It is a pair of colliding galaxies. That is 105 million light years.
That's always fun. And what's that process called?
When a larger galaxy consumes a smaller galaxy, it's called galactic cannibalism. Otherwise, it's just like a galactic merger, which isn't as fun. So those are a couple of deep space objects within Pisces that are out there. Of course, with the handy use of binoculars or telescopes, you can see those. But yeah, of course, with these constellations, they didn't just appear out of nowhere. Basically, some people had to have some imaginations and play connect the dots with the stars. And it's like what we do with clouds. Even as adults, we still see pictures in the clouds. We'll look up and be like, "Oh, it's a Donnie."
Yeah, but these stories were fueled by alcohol.
Well, a lot of stories were filled by just nothing else to do in a really dark night sky. I turned the timer off on this iPad. We primarily go with the Greco-Roman versions of constellations, just based on when, during the Enlightenment, when the sky was kind of officially they used official maps and kind of made things like, okay, let's set an official kind of thing of what these constellations are in the Northern Hemisphere, at least. But originally, Pisces was the Babylonian constellation of Sinunutu. which was known as the Great Swallow. So instead of fish, I guess the Babylonians saw a bird up there. But again, we go by the Greco-Roman version, so we have Pisces the fish, and there's a few, there's 3 different, like, versions of a story that involve kind of the same god/goddesses. So Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, and her son Eros are the star players in the Greco-Roman story, and this comes from a Roman librarian / author guy named Hyginus. And actually, he has a minor planet named after him, the 12155 Hyginus.
Hey.
Cheers, Hyginus. Thanks for the stories and thanks for all the fish. So his story with Aphrodite and Eros. It's they were visiting Syria. I don't know why Aphrodite and Eros would be visiting Syria, but I guess they wanted a little vacation for Mount Olympus or some shit. And they had to flee from the monster Typhon. And they did this by leaping into the Euphrates and turning into fish.
So, Iraq or Syria?
Syria.
I guess the Euphrates is, I mean, I just associate it with Iraq.
Oh, no. Syria is what it said. So that's the simplest first story. They just ran and jumped into the river and turned into fish. And then I guess, people saw fish in the sky and went, oh, this is that story right there. This is Aphrodite and Eros.
That was like the shortest story ever.
Right? Now, of course, Greco-Roman constellation, so Aphrodite and Eros are known by other names to the Romans. So this is for all you guys out there thinking about Rome constantly, apparently. Venus and Cupid, the Roman versions of them.
I never think about Rome.
I think about Rome more than you think about Rome.
Yeah, and I saw it in the notes, and I was like, oh yeah, I think, guys think about Rome. But then I did not think, I forgot all about it.
You never thought of Rome again. It's just weird. But anyway, so Venus and Cupid in the Roman version were carried away from the monster on the backs of 2 fish.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Those are nice fish.
I know, they're nice fish, I mean, did they use godly magic powers and maybe force the fish to carry them away? We won't know, and we'll never know because it never actually happened. Now, the third story basically says that an egg rolled into the Euphrates. Some fish nudged it over to shore. Doves sat on the egg until Aphrodite hatched out of it. And the fish were then rewarded by being turned into a constellation.
Jeez, okay.
So the fish
helped
Aphrodite be born into this world, and
because
of that, they were placed amongst the stars for all to view them for eternity.
Isn't there like a picture of Aphrodite like in a clamshell or something now?
Yeah, I think there is to her origin story that she is born from like the sea or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just, hey, let's put her in a clamshell and just not the fish.
She's known for her clam, so. I'm going to give myself that one. Everyone take a drink.
The thing is, though, it did pop in the back of my head, but I didn't say it. And you ran with it.
Of course I do. Of course I wrote with it. And that story was also, and it's peer-reviewed, actually. It's also written by, it was recorded also by the Third Vatican mythographer. Because they have those. They have mythographers. And the third one also recorded this story, I guess. I don't know.
So, okay. All right. So it's just dudes that write myths.
Yeah,
write down myths.
Basically. I mean, Hyginus, his whole thing was like he wrote down, he had this astronomical, it was like something like astronomical poetries And then he had something else called like something that had to do with fables or whatever. So he wrote down like a bunch of these like stories. Now I don't know if he's took them from somewhere, being a librarian and stuff, or he was just compiling them into these kind of books of story. Fabulae is the one. Like fable, fabulae, and nebulae spelling.
Oh, okay.
But make it like that. All right. Now, of course, we don't want to focus on just Western culture, non-Western culture.
I should have named my drink the Mythographer.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, see, that would be Brandon's perfect job. Him and all his typewriters. He can be typewriting on all his 20 typewriters at once, being the Mythographer.
Brandon, how many typewriters you got? Put it in chat. Go.
So Pisces in Chinese astronomy is actually several different constellations. A bunch of stars of Pisces are known as Wai Ping, which was a fence that kept a pig farmer from falling into the marshes and kept the pigs in. So he has 6 typewriters. So a bunch of the stars in Pisces, I don't know which ones they are. They're a fence. It's probably the bloom strings. Of Pisces. Yeah. They're the fence keeping a pig farmer and his pigs in from falling into the marsh. And then the marshes are represented by 4 stars, which is designated Phi Ceti. And then the northern part, northern fish part is a house of sandal, Ku Siu. I don't know. So I'm guessing we have the house, we have the marshes, and then we have the pig farmer with his pigs in the fenced area doing his pig farming.
I mean,
nothing to do with fishes.
Well, I mean, it was in
because
China,
why
right?
would they? Why would they even see the same things? Because they have a different culture, different way of life, different needs of what they need to see in the sky.
But this is like very like everyday.
Everyday thing. Well, I mean, the southern hemisphere, you got telescopium.
Well, no, yeah, I'm not saying anything. In fact, it's like a celebration of they're seeing like normal, life. Quote unquote, normal shit up there, and
well, there's a pig farm, a lot of pig shit.
Yeah, they're not making
that pig shit is M74, and
they're not making up any gods or anything like that, or origin stories and things like that. And so,
well, that's just for Pisces. I don't know about the rest of the sky. Anyway, of course, there's not just stars that make up constellations or asterisms in the sky. There's also planets. Planetes.
Wandering stars.
Wandering stars.
They move.
They do. They move around the sun just like we do. All together in one big happy planetary family. With the stuff occasionally trying to kill us like asteroids and comets. Anyway.
Meanwhile, we're just trying to kill ourselves.
Yes, that's true. One of my favorites, good old Jupy Jupes, as he's lovingly known here on the show.
That's his official name, Jupy Jupes.
That is its official name, Jupes.
It shows up in the astronomical literature everywhere. Jupy Jupes.
If I was ever on Jeopardy and Jupiter was the answer, I would immediately answer with, what is Jupy Jupes? And then quickly say Jupiter after it. But I would just want to squeeze in that Jupy Jupes there.
Which when we were watching the Celebrity Jeopardy the other day, you did say that because Jupiter was an answer. And so.
All right, so Jupiter, of course, it rises at sunset, the beginning of November. And that's because it is at opposition in the beginning of November. So sun goes down, Jupiter comes up. It's on the opposite end.
Yeah, pretty much it means that it's, on the opposite end of the sky from the sun. And and it's actually the closest we will get to Jupiter this year.
Oh, the close. Well, not true, because we have a robotic arm out there called Juno, so we're closer than ever to Jupiter. But yes,
But for
it's the closest the planet Earth will be to Jupiter.
Normal lads and lasses like us.
Yes, we get to be our closer. So it's the biggest and brightest. We'll see it all year long because we are at our closest point in our orbit.
So to answer your mom's question, if she's looking towards the east, then she's seeing Jupiter. But their house faces north, right? And so I'm trying to think of the orientation and what she's seeing.
Yeah, it's probably Jupiter. Because I think Venus is early morning right now, if it's even up. Well, it comes up later. It comes up, yeah, Venus is going to be around sunrise because we'll get to that. Anyway, all right.
Oh, there we go.
End of November, the 24th and 25th, so right around turkey belly filling time for those of you that eat the turkeys. The celebration of Thanksgiving, it will be happening here in the United States of America, where we have a really weird notion of what holidays mean. But it'll be bright and hanging out with the moon. So Jupiter's gonna be getting mooned at the end of November.
Okay, all right. It's on my left as I look to the backyard. All right, so that means it's in the east. It's in the east, so it's Jupiter.
It's Jupiter. Well, I was just visualizing my parents' backyard.
I know, I have to visualize it, and I have to think about like where north is and all that kind of stuff. But I also was laughing at we have a really weird sense of what holidays are.
We all know what. Look, God, we all know. All right. Next up with the big boys, Saturn.
My favorite.
Mike's favorite planet, the one with the ring. Well, all the gas giants have rings, but the one with the best rings, the most visible rings, fantastical rings. It's actually hanging out with the fish Pisces.
Woohoo!
Go Saturn. And if you have anything that does like binoculars or anything with
Magnitude. Magnification.
Thank you. Magnification. I wanted to say magnificent,
okay, but Saturn is magnificent.
It is magnificent. Anything with a magnification 30 times can see the rings.
Now, for everybody, binoculars today are just as strong as what Galileo had in the 1600s, right? So, binoculars should be able to, at least really good binoculars, should be able to show you the rings.
So, Dad, whip out those binoculars you got.
Yeah.
You can check it out.
And even the worst telescope you could buy at Walmart will show you the rings.
We should bring out my telescope. And so, we got to use my little telescope.
Yeah. We should do a whole episode at Christmas, like right after Thanksgiving, about buying telescopes.
We should, because that's a good idea. I don't know if we've ever talked about that before.
Not buying telescopes, no. No.
What?
No.
Oh, not buying telescopes.
Right.
All right, yeah. All right, so also November 9th, the moon and Venus will be conjunctioning together. There will be a conjunction of the moon and Venus at 5 a.m., about 24 degrees up. Your fist is what, 10 degrees?
Oh, shit. Is it? Oh.
I think your fist is 10 degrees, so you got about maybe like 2.5 fists up from your horizon, maybe?
10 seems big.
Okay, or is it 5?
Brandon,
correct us. Is it 5 degrees?
I want to say it's 5.
Your fist is a certain amount of degrees that you can use to help measure.
Yeah, I want to say 5 because your thumb will cover the moon, and the moon is either a half a degree or a degree.
Mm.
So.
Okay, well, you can
5
use
at
your
the
fist.
most.
But November 9th is the conjunction of the moon and Venus at 5 a.m. if you want to wake up at that early in the morning, which we'll probably be up if we're working.
This is 10, I think.
Oh. But your 10's going to be bigger than Hang Loose.
Well, yeah, but they have a name for it.
Oh. I don't think we're allowed to say it because we're white. Your 10 degrees is going to be bigger than my 10 degrees.
That is true. That is true.
So it's in a rough estimate of degreeage, using your hands to measure the sky. All right, now there are a couple events up there in the sky for November. Daylight savings time ends. All right, for those wacky states that still do daylight savings time,
which
move
is
your clocks, which
like
is everybody
3.
but like Arizona and like
Arizona,
parts
of Indiana,
somewhere,
and then Hawaii.
It's ridiculous. Everybody, we just need to stop it. But that's on Sunday, November 5th, where we fall back. We lose an hour.
Thank God. I mean,
I know, yeah.
Okay, here's the thing though. I do, maybe it's from my time in Phoenix. I want the sun to go down sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I'm like Gollum going into the cave. I don't know if we have to take a drink for that, but
no, we do because you mentioned Lord of the Rings. So yeah.
Where I forget the name of the sign and I just go underground and that's where I live for the rest of my life. And so, fucking fruit flies.
Yeah, these fruit flies are just everywhere.
We've moved to Oregon and all there are fruit flies, and I'm ready to move.
Well, maybe when we fall back, when we move the clocks back, the fruit flies will. Anyway, but of course, with any month comes a full moon, and November's moon, since we were talking about clams earlier, is the full beaver moon. I'm just gonna let that one sit for a minute and just let everybody make up their own little middle school joke in their head.
We're all in middle school, right?
November 27th at 4:16 in the morning is when the moon is at its fullest.
Is that our time? UT time?
I don't know. It just said that. I think it's local time.
Okay.
It didn't give a specification on the time when I was looking this
up. All right,
up.
so on the 27th.
Just on the 27th. Full moon is getting beavered. And apparently this is the time of year when beavers take shelter for the long winter ahead. So they're packing it up, boys. Oh, see, we do have 2 pumpkins out front, but they're everywhere anyway, those fruit flies. All right. Now there's also meteor showers. A couple meteor showers in November.
We're moving to New Zealand. We're going to Middle Earth. That's where we're moving. I can't do fruit flies anymore. All
right. You got to shower your beavers. So on November 11th through 12th, we have the Taurid meteor shower, and that's the peak of the Taurids, which will appear as if they're coming from the constellation of Taurus, the bull, a very bright, well-known, beautiful wintertime constellation. But this one will only have about a few per hour in the pre-dawn sky.
I mean, how do you distinguish that from, just normal, a few per hour that you get just as background meteors?
Well, I'm sure they have a way because they know that, they know we're passing through the debris of a comet. I don't know which comet. I didn't look up which comets are coming from. So they must know which are coming from, especially since, if they're coming from that radiant point, which is where they appear to originate from.
Can you imagine, like, the first dude who's like, oh, man, okay, so we usually see, like, 3 per hour. Oh, man, we're up to 5. We got a full-on shower, boys. The
sky is raining.
You do have to watch it for like a few years ago. Okay, we really do actually have an actual meteor because there was a little bump.
Yeah.
So.
And this, like with exoplanets, you gotta watch them a few years to really confirm that there's a planet orbiting that star, and dimming the light. There's going to be, I'm sure, tons of golf in New Zealand. It seems like a ripe area for golf.
Actually,
people listening to this, if they're just listening to this and not watching this, then they can't see the chat. They're just like, what are they talking about? All right, another meteor shower, a little bit better. The Leonids. The Leonids peak on November 18th through 19th. And this one, it's not a super active meteor shower. But it's a little bump. You get about 10 to 15 per hour after midnight. And you want to look furthest away from the moon for this one.
Right. Well, that goes for any meteor shower.
Well, yeah. Because then you'll see it. You'll resolve them better in your eyeballs.
But
because the moon's bright.
I know this is not this much, but December is just going to have a good one.
Oh, which one's in December? Is this not the Orion?
Okay.
It's not the Orion. It's weird.
No. It's the Geminids.
Do we already have the Geminids?
Well, you had the Perseids and the Geminids. Those are the big ones. One is in August.
Perseids. I think we had the Perseids.
Perseids in August, which is a big one, but the Geminids in December is always great.
Mm-hmm. So,
but you have to wait a month.
Yeah. But
in a month.
If you're hanging out around the 11th and 12th or the 18th and 19th and you're outside and you want to just kind of, just relax and look at the stars and feel one with the cosmos. If you see some shooting stars, then you know what you're seeing. You're seeing a little bit of the meteor shower. So there you go. It's always a fun sight.
Yeah, and go out and look. I mean, seriously.
It's always cool because Brandon was out visiting us at CWC headquarters here, and we were going to bed one night, and Brandon was going to stay out and look at the sky because it was like the one night where it was kind of clear, like the clouds weren't as bad. And then I went out there because he said he could kind of see the Milky Way, and so I go out, and then we both see a meteor, and we're both like, whoa! And then I go back inside, and then to Mike, who's like on the bed, and I was like, we saw a meteor. He's like, yeah, I could tell. I figured by the reaction.
I mean, but seriously, all right. So this is like Mike goes on a comment, but seriously, go out and look at the night sky. If you have an opportunity to do it, where you can see like a clear, really dark night sky, do it.
If it becomes nighttime in your area and there are no clouds, go outside.
No, wait a minute. It has to be from a dark location.
Oh, I thought you were just saying in general.
No.
Look at the night sky and appreciate your night sky.
In general, yes. In general, go out and appreciate it and all that kind of stuff. But like, find out when an astronomy club's doing their thing.
Oh yeah, like a star party, or go out until very dark.
Go out and it really does connect you to the universe in a way that you, I guess, really aren't expecting. And a lot of the troubles of the world kind of just melt away a little bit. And I guarantee you that if we had more people going out looking at the night sky, there'd be more world peace. Yeah.
I agree.
And I mean, the FRB is working.
Yeah. Well, I just noticed we kind of match. You got orange pants, and I got my orange blue pants on, and then we both have a shirt that has just a black with white outlining on it.
Yeah, except
anyway.
Yours is Katie's.
Yeah. Oh, and for those of you watching, check out Wildixia, Wildixia. This is some of her art on my chest right here. It's cool shit.
And this will be on my skin eventually. It's going to be a tattoo I get.
I got him that shirt. Anyway, news! Not only is there stuff happening in the sky, there's also news that happens with astronomy. Some news stories that have come out recently that are popping.
Just a few.
Just a few. I found some fun ones. But James Webb Space Telescope, master of all things, is now providing us with a better understanding of KBOs, which are also known as Kuiper Belt objects. You really want to tell them about my spelling error, don't you? Go for it.
No. All right. So I'm looking over the notes, and it says KPOs, which I think the P is a long way from the B.
Aren't KPOs like something in business? Like
I think so, but I was
we gotta get our KPOs.
I'm like, all right, I haven't heard of this one. I'm gonna have to look that up later. But then Liz comes in, and she's like, saying something about it all, and I'm like, did you mean KBOs with that? And it was. Yes, I really wasn't meaning to tell everybody, but
okay. Well, you're laughing, so I'm like, you have it inside of you. You need to release it. So KBOs. Kuiper Belt objects. There's some familiar ones we know of, like Pluto, Eris, Makemake. But most people most people know Pluto. Okay, Pluto is a Kuiper Belt object. It is located with a region of our solar system known as the Kuiper Belt, which is where most of the long-term comets are. The long-term comets are in the Oort cloud. Short-term comets are hanging out. But Pluto and these other Pluto and some familiar friends that are very similar in size and shape, they're a little unusual to comets, being that they are bigger than comets. They are spherical, and being spherical is the key, because they're have enough gravity to turn them into a sphere, and so they're not quite comets. They're now known as dwarf planets.
If they're round, yeah.
If they're round. These objects out there, we don't really know a lot about them. In fact, the first time we really ever got to truly learn about Pluto and actually really do some major scientific study of Pluto is when we had the New Horizons spacecraft fly by Pluto in 2008. That was our first up-close view of Pluto.
2015?
20.
I think it launched. Launched in 06 or 08.
Oh,
but it flew because we were in Hawaii, right?
Oh, yeah. When did it fly by? Was it 2015? God,
2015.
I cannot with years anymore. But it flew by, and we got to learn that Pluto was a lot more active than we thought it would be. It wasn't just this frozen, dead world of ices, that there was actually sublimation. We knew there was sublimation happening, but there was a resurfacing happening so that it's warm enough somehow in the interior to have to not be completely frozen and to have some of this liquid ice material come up to the surface, and it has evidence of cryovolcanoes and all this really cool shit that's going on. And so it means so then astronomers are like, well, if this cool shit's happening on Pluto, what are these other, Kuiper Belt objects doing? What are they like? What is going on out there? What is causing some of these objects to not be completely frozen to their cores, to have something internal happening inside of there? So, James Webb, of course, uses infrared to be able to see the universe in a way that we, don't see naturally. We have to have special technologies like James Webb to see different things that are going on, to learn what we can and really understand the universe around us. So there are 3 Kuiper Belt objects that are very much like Plutes and Buds. Sedna, Gong Gong.
I love that name.
And Quaoar, which makes me just think like Quarks or something, like Quarks Bar or something.
Yeah.
It's like a Ferengi name. Quaoar. These are also known as trans-Neptunian objects, or TNOs. And so they actually cross the orbit of Neptune. In fact, for, I forget 20 years, Pluto is closer to the sun in its orbit than Neptune is.
And it happened 1979 to 1999. It was closer.
Yeah, so Pluto was technically, during that time, when it was categorized as a planet, it was technically the 8th planet.
8th planet.
And Pluto would have been, or
Neptune
would have been
the most
9th,
distant planet in the solar system.
Yeah, which is wild. So they decided to use James Webb to study these 3 TNOs. And that's actually part of James Webb's objectives, is to study solar system objects to help us learn more about our own backyard, because to be honest, we really don't know that much about it, surprisingly. And so in a preprint of a paper that is being reviewed for publish right now by the journal Icarus, research that was led by Joshua Emery. He's an associate professor of astronomy and planetary science at NAU, Northern Arizona University. And a bunch of other researchers had joined on with this project. They used near infrared, and they wanted to see if there were similarities in these objects with other observations about Pluto, Eris, Haumea, Makemake, which they've shown they've retained these volatile ices on their surfaces. And so they want to see if the same thing's going on with these other objects. And so what they found was that all 3 had an abundance of ethane, Sedna having the most. And ethane is a byproduct of methane. So that means that the methane, there's methane that's basically being resurfaced on the surfaces of these objects, and that methane then basically sublimates. It gets broken up and it forms more complex molecules such as ethane. And so the methane that is producing this basically is not of a primordial origin, meaning it's not from the formation of the solar system, but instead there's something happening inside of these 3 objects that is Making the methane. Keeping the methane going.
It's not, what do you put in the notes? It's not what kind of?
It's being replenished by ice cows. It's ice cows, everybody. It's just ice cows. That's all it is. It's ice cows that are just farting their icy methane farts.
Okay. Now, that being said, no evidence that it's life. It's not life.
Yeah, no, it's not a methane in a life sort of way. It's
it's not ice cows in a life kind of way.
And so these findings are actually consistent with separate research that has been performed as well. So peer review for the win. That's what we like. And it indicated that that there is a kind of a size for these KBOs where they can be warm enough for interior reprocessing of primordial ices, according to Emery.
Did Emery say what that size is?
The size of these objects, at least.
Typically like Pluto said.
These sizes of objects.
Gong.
Yeah, and really, also the bottom line to this is that James Webb basically has opened up a whole new wavelength range for this research. Which is great. They can't hear. Can you hear the vibrating from my phone? You guys
I can hear it.
Brandon is just texting us pictures from Hawaii. That's all he's doing right now. I mean, jeez.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, look. God, look at that. It's Brandon's view of a beach. Gorgeous.
Remove the vibrate because I can't be looking at beaches.
I'm gonna keep it on vibrate. But all right, are you ready to get psyched?
I'm ready to get psyched.
Are you guys ready to get psyched?
I'm ready to move to Hawaii.
I know we're psyched about the beaches. Brandon, stop texting us in the middle of the show, Brandon. All right, but I'm psyched about Psyche. Yes, we have a spacecraft called Psyche that has launched. It launched on October 13th, and it's heading to an asteroid called Psyche. And basically, it's gonna take a 6-year journey. So in 2029, the spacecraft gets to this asteroid. This is actually an Arizona State University project in conjunction with NASA. ASU has a huge space exploration program.
All of Arizona, really.
All of Arizona is a hotbed for astronomy, which is surprising. But this is a metallic asteroid, and the goal is to see if this metallic asteroid is basically what was once a planetesimal, all right, the beginning core of what could have been a planet in our solar system, but the outer layers, had gotten knocked off from all the chaos and debris flying around as the solar system was forming. So that's the goal, is to see if that's what this asteroid is. Now, if it's not a planetesimal, if it's not the core of what could have been a planet, then that means it could then be a totally new type of object, class of object, I could say, can say, in our solar system. So it's really kind of, it's rare to find a piece of a planetary building block, which is what Psyche could be, and it is why everybody is so psyched about this mission. All right, so in 2029, the spacecraft will get there, and we'll be able to learn more about our early solar system.
Oh, cool.
And how planets formed, really. Now, speaking of spacecrafts, time to snap into a Slim lander, that is, called Slim. It is a Japanese spacecraft.
I'm sorry, but all I hear is...
Snap into a Slim!
Yeah, Macho, Randy Savage, Slim Jims. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. Continue. I've got that out, so please continue.
By the way, Brandon is on Oahu, for those of you who want to go find him. Anyway, my mom asked in chat, is that the only one they've identified as metallic? No, there are other metallic asteroids and objects out there. But there's something, I don't know what it is about this one particularly, but generally metallic asteroid, it means it's not just like, you have your more kind of rubble pile asteroids that are just like stuff that had like come together and is bound loosely together with gravity. But these metallic ones have had enough time and enough heat and enough pressure to begin to form, I would say, a planet, a core of a planet.
Oh, well, yeah,
or knocked
okay.
off.
Okay, no, yeah. If you had enough of them, so if you had a bunch of these are the guys that were going to settle down most likely if they're iron and nickel in the core.
They would have been able to form the cores of planets.
And so if you look at our Earth, our planet, the Earth, our core is mainly iron and nickel, and that iron and nickel probably originated from the accretion of these metallic type asteroids like Psyche.
And they were able to stick together and come together long enough that eventually got too big for anything to really break it apart in entirety. It just had a little brief collision that formed our moon. But we were big enough that we were able to survive that impact.
Yeah, it knocked off enough material to form the moon, but we also coalesced with that object, which is called Theia, I believe, and made the Earth a little bit bigger, but also made our core bigger than like Venus. Venus's core, which is about the same size as the Earth, a little smaller, but our core is, from what we can tell, bigger than what Venus has.
But anyway, back to Slim.
Slim.
This is a Japanese smart lander for investigating moon. Slim, smart lander for investigating moon.
So basically, we have taken our propensity for these acronyms and just exported it out to other countries.
Of course. So this is the JAXA, Japanese. That's the Japanese NASA, basically. This lander for the moon is basically a test of an efficient, smart, easy way, seamless way, very accurate way of landing on the moon. In fact, the whole thing is about accuracy, and that accuracy relating to then saving fuel and by having a lower payload weight, essentially. Currently, it's carrying a couple of rovers. And what it's doing is it's taking like this long looping route to save fuel and therefore mass. So it actually started by entering low Earth orbit as a joint launch with the XRISM X-ray Space Observatory. And then it made a translunar injection burn and did a moon flyby. So it was like, hey moon, bye, I'll be back. That's what it did. It flew by the moon and now is being flung out into deep space. Not deep space, I would say, but it's deep space in this long looping orbit to then come back for an end of December landing. I couldn't find like an exact date of when the landing's supposed to be, but it referenced the end of December. So I'm assuming that's when it's gonna happen. And its goal is to land at Scioli Crater within 330 feet of the target spot. Hopefully. And usually, I mean, landing on the moon, they can be like miles away from their target landing spot. And this is supposed to be,
football field.
Supposed to be within a football field and really kind of just narrow down the accuracy of landing on the moon for future missions. If this is successful, Japan becomes the 5th country to land on the moon, which would be awesome.
In case you're wondering, U.S., Soviet Union, China, India. Yep.
Wait, that makes 5 though.
No, it makes 4.
Oh,
Japan will be the 5th.
Oh, you didn't add your thumb in. Okay. But it has a couple rovers that'll do some science that'll go roving out there. But the Slim itself will only gonna last one lunar day, because then it's gonna get cold and all that stuff's gonna. It's not designed to like stick around or like relaunch and come back or anything.
So one lunar day is about 28 Earth days. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh shit, that's a lot longer than now.
Well, I mean,
I didn't think about that.
So
right. One
lunar day is because
because
it's tidally locked with the Earth. Is how long it takes for it to go around the Earth. So 1 month.
1 month.
1 month, 28 days roughly.
1 month. It'll last 1 month. That's actually pretty good. So that'll be great. That'll be good if it's successful. Then a new way for landing on the moon and eventually landing people on there, I assume.
Nice. You want to get to my drink name? The FRB?
The FR. Oh, you want to skip the one about flowers?
Well, I'm just thinking time here.
Oh.
Because it's 2:00.
I know, because I've talked too much. All right, I'm going to do this one in a nutshell. Okay, I'm just going to do this one really short, okay? But, okay, I'm going to butcher this. Mahidol University in Thailand, they released a study where watermeal plants, which are the tiniest flowering plants, they basically look like little green slimy dots. They're no bigger than a pinhead, essentially. But these could be an ideal source of oxygen and protein, aka food, for future astronauts. They basically have been doing these studies to simulate how these plants, which are called watermeal. Did I say that? I don't think I did. Watermeal. They're a staple actually of Thailand diet. So they're used in like soups and all different things. Okay, so it's part of their culture, and they've been able to simulate basically 20 times the Earth's gravity and have observed that no change happens really with the plants. Like, it doesn't affect them at all, which means that, they basically just grow in water. They don't need soil. They don't need fertilizer. They don't need...
Yeah, there's no root. There's no roots and stems.
There's no roots or stems or anything.
It's just a lily pad.
They just exist.
With nothing else.
They just exist. They just exist in water, so you can just easily grow a shit ton of this and just eat it off your fingers. I don't know.
Oh, but also the oxygen.
Yeah, it's a plant, so it's going to produce oxygen as well. So, and yeah, more for the ice cows.
Yep. All right, cool.
All right. FRBs.
In a nutshell.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Take a drink.
There you go. 8-billion-year-old radio signal was spotted, captured, seen, not heard.
Not heard. Well, unless you're Ellie in combat.
Yeah. By the in Australia, Aussie mate. Good day, mate. The telescope in Australia, it picked up this powerful blast of radio waves on June 10th of last year, actually. It lasted less than 1,000th of a second. And this is known as an FRB.
Fast radio burst.
Fast radio burst.
Or fuck you up real fast. I don't know how to make fast a B.
Yeah. And there's little understood about these fast radio bursts, these FRBs that are detected. But this one was more powerful and further away than any FRB that had been detected before. And in that fraction of a second, again, it was less than 1/10 of 1,000th of a second. There was the same amount of energy released that the sun releases over 30 years.
Which is, all right, when I read that article, I was like, it's just amazing.
That is an incomprehensible amount of energy.
I mean, think about that again.
To my human brain.
This lasted for less than 1,000th of a second. Mm-hmm. But it released enough energy, the equivalent energy of the sun, what it releases in 30 years.
Yeah. 30 years worth of the sun's energy in less than that. Less than whatever move I could ever make.
Yeah.
What's the speed of blinking?
That's a good question, but wait a minute. When they had the Olympics, did they do like 1,000ths of a second when people are running? Do they measure that?
I don't know.
But I mean, it's quicker than that.
Yeah, but yeah, oh yeah, especially now. But oh yeah, and this is most likely from a distant dead star that has a shit ton of magnetic energy, known as a magnetar, which is just such a fun.
Who's just saying about magnetars?
Nirvana has Nirvana. I just like magnetar. It's just fun. So they use the VLT, the Very Large Telescope, in Chile, to find out where this FRB came from, and it came from this clumpy galaxy. A clumpy galaxy. I like that. Clumpy galaxy. That is possibly a galaxy that's merging with one or two other galaxies. I mean, we have a three-way happening with our own Milky Way right now. Am I right? Yeah, there are Hellenist, Magellanic clouds.
There's been. All right, what?
And so their best hunch, according to Ryan Shannon, an astrophysicist at the Australian Swinburne University, Swinburne. Yeah, there's no E after the Swinburne.
Big pig burns.
Swinburne. That the merger of these galaxies could possibly create a magnetar, and that's their best hunch at the moment. So I say, fuck cowbell. We need more radio telescopes.
We do. But now I have Will. What's his name? Will.
Yep, that's the goal, is to bring that into your brain because we all know we need more cowbell. But in this case, we need more radio telescopes.
We do.
To learn more about these.
I mean, we need a lot more telescopes.
Mm-hmm. Now, we mentioned earlier that James Webb Space Telescope did some cool shit with some KBOs. But it's at it again! James Webb with Joopy Joops. James Webb has been taking a look at Joops, and they found there is this high-speed equatorial jet. So a high-speed jet stream that is around the equator of Jupiter. That is traveling at about it's 24 miles above the clouds in the stratosphere, or 40 kilometers for those who use every other number system in the world.
It's everybody else but us.
Yes.
Even England, who ours is based on.
Yeah, imperial
uses the metric system.
It used to be seen as kind of this blurry haze, like by Hubble and the other telescopes. But now James Webb is able to resolve it into a clearer feature that they can track as Jupiter rotates. And they have found that it travels at about 320 miles per hour, or 515 kilometer per hour, which is twice that of a Cat 5 hurricane here on Earth.
Cat 5.
Cat 5 cable hurricane. A category.
Does that make it category 10? I
guess it's twice a Cat 5, and 5 plus 5 is 10.
I grew up in the South, and we had hurricanes.
I don't know what the magnitude level is. Like the Richter scale is I don't know what.
Yeah, what was it? The Richter scale is 50 times whatever the previous number was.
Yeah, or something. So then we got some teamwork happening with this one, because then Hubble jumps in.
Hey.
He's like, hey Webb, let me help you out, buddy. So Hubble jumps in as a supporting player the next day to determine basically the base state of Jupiter's equatorial atmosphere, and then observe storms that aren't connected to the jet. And so what you can say is teamwork makes the science work.
All right.
But wait!
There's more
James Webb Space Telescope. We're not done. This is what happens when James Webb has hit the cosmic scene. At it again. James Webb. It's part of it, when it was first taking some pictures. The first images of the earliest galaxies were real confusing to astronomers, because the earliest galaxies, these are galaxies that are within a few 100 million years of the Big Bang. which is also referred to as the Cosmic Dawn. And I don't know if we've discussed this before, but that is a great band name.
That is a great band name.
Cosmic Dawn.
I mean, it's not
I want
punk.
a band just to call it Cosmic Dawn.
This is more of a metal band.
It's definitely a metal band.
This is a metal band.
Yeah, it's like a Norwegian metal band.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, punk can't claim this one. This is all you guys.
Yeah. So baby, newborn galaxies essentially. These are young galaxies, or the oldest galaxies, depending on how we're looking at it right now. They're too bright. They're too big. They're too evolved enough, so to speak, to be that old, from that early in the in the universe's formation in essence. And so astronomers are like, the standard model is fucked up. Everything we knew is wrong. The Big Bang's wrong. Things are going haywire. This shouldn't be. This should not be. So after having some time to kind of study this data that they got from James Webb and study the images of these galaxies, what they're currently hypothesizing is that these galaxies are exhibiting what they're calling busty star formation. That's a very feminist episode, I must say. We've got clams, beavers, and now some busts. Bursty star formation. Bursty star formation. I don't know what's happening to my brain today then.
Middle school.
Middle school has happened. So bursty or busty star formation, however you want it. This is where star formation is happening in kind of bursts and is producing these flashes of light that are very bright. And they use computer simulations as part of the FIRE project. This is the Feedback of Relativistic Environments project. So they put all the environmental data, all the numbers into the computer and let the computer use its imagination to come up with what's happening using complex math. And
I think going forward, every one of our episodes should be acronyms.
Just all acronyms. A whole episode is just acronyms. We're just talking in acronyms. So the computer simulations show that this bursty star formation is possible, as to what could be the cause of these galaxies looking so bright and so big and more evolved. And so that means there's like intense periods of star birth, and then star birth and death, so to speak, because, comes in with a bang, goes out with a bang, for some of them at least. But you would have bigger stars. You would have a lot more.
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Well, anyway. So you have this intense period of star birth and death, followed by a longer, quieter, periods in the galaxy with not a lot happening. Claude Andre Falcher-Guiguere, that's an astronomer at Northwestern, he said that bursty star formation is especially common in low mass galaxies. And though research on the subject will be ongoing, he said that what we think happens is that a burst of stars form, then a few million years later, those stars explode as supernovae. Mm-hmm. The gas gets kicked out and then falls back in, which then starts new stars to form again. It just drives this cycle of star formation.
And I do really like this hypothesis, this line of thought. Mm-hmm. Because as your mom asked, are we challenging the laws of physics? Well, we were up until this hypothesis, mm-hmm. and it. I don't know if there's like snoring going on.
They're wrestling.
They're wrestling. All right. So I do like this because it's the simpler it explains it in a simpler terms.
Uh-huh. Is it elegant?
I'm not going to go so far as to say it's elegant, but it's simpler, and Jack's barking.
I mean, it's not a bark. It's more
Okay.
of a play with me.
But it's a simpler simpler way of explaining the things that we're seeing, and it doesn't involve new laws of physics.
Yeah,
and
because if this explanation is confirmed, then it would avoid any required revisions or adjustments to the standard model of cosmology. Yeah. So,
and as much as I want new laws of physics, I want them. I don't necessarily want them in this particular case. Because
it fucks up the whole universe.
Yeah, because to me, like what I want with new laws of physics have to do with like quantum relativity.
You want there to be new particles and stuff.
I want new particles.
You like new particles.
But this is like, can we explain this in what we currently know and understand? And it looks like we are.
Not really explosion with implosion. It's more like the stars form all together because there's all this gas and dust swirling around, and then they're born and it's quiet for a bit. Then they explode, releasing all this gas dust. But the gravity of the galaxy, that gas and dust doesn't get ejected from the galaxy. It comes back down, and the gravity then starts coalescing that material all over again into new stars.
Yeah, and it makes sense that these stars would form about the same time, and that since they're how long you live is based on your mass, that they would
explode,
detonate.
Yeah, it's like the same time. Yeah, the Pleiades star cluster, the Seven Sisters, Subaru in Japan. There's hundreds of stars in the star cluster, but we see like these prominent, like 7, so to speak. But these are all stars that form together out of the same cloud of gas and dust, so they're going to follow the same trajectory timelines throughout those stars' lives for them.
And if you have 2 stars in the Pleiades that have the same mass, they will end their lives at the same time. That's the way physics works.
Poetic. Physics is poetic. Physics. That's kind of nice. Well, on that note.
Oh, well, Brandon said that's a bark, so he says we have to drink.
All right, final drink of the episode before we go to the hangover, or you just stop listening to this episode.
I love how Jack goes, that sounds reasonable as somebody who does not drink alcohol.
Well, thanks for getting high with us, everyone, in the sky for November 2023 on this episode of Cosmos with Cosmos. Of course, you can follow us on all the things at Drinking Cosmos on the Twitex, and Cosmos with Cosmos everywhere else.
Oh, what?
Twitex. This is my compromise. Twitex.
I think we do not compromise. It's Twitter.
Anyway,
follow us on all
where
the things.
Oh yeah, you can listen to us where you get your podcasts, or watch us on YouTube, and stick around if you're with us for the hangover, or you can come back and check out the hangover episodes later. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Cheers.
Peace.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.